Good morning. So, it's been a crazy mix of weather up here today, this April, I should say, up on the farm. Spring's been a little wild. Came a little early, got a little warm, and now it's pretending to be winter again. You can't see the snow sticking to the green grass right now, but it is trying, and last night it was trying, so it's kind of a wet, muddy, mucky, wintry mix. I was hoping to do some more pasture walks and things with the boys this weekend, but it doesn't look like that's necessarily going to be the case for us. So, but anyways, just wanted to check back in and say happy spring. Hope your spring is looking a little bit better than ours, but by the news reports, sounds like everybody's having kind of a rough go of it. So bison are wet. They're hanging out by the hay, hanging out in the woods. They've been wet for a long time. So we'll see how that treats us here. So, yeah. Wanted to talk a little bit more about this mini docu-series I'm attempting here with this YouTube channel. Man, it is chilly. I don't have a glove on this hand I'm holding this camera with, and it's freezing. Anyways, so kind of what I have envisioned in my brain is micro series, and I'm using that term now because I've been throwing around that term since this winter after going to a couple conferences where folks have been talking about small farms and small businesses, and I'm sitting in on some of these meetings where folks are talking about being a small farmer or a small business, and I'm starting to recognize that, hey, I think I'm even smaller than small. And I think I like the term micro, kind of like they use with micro breweries. I like the term micro farmer because some of these small farmers are still talking about having, a full staff of, we're talking 20, 50 employees, and they're doing, $500,000 in revenue and things like that. And I'm like, well, damn, if you're a small farmer, then what am I? And they're shipping their stuff all over the country, and no doubt they're definitely smaller than some, but what does that make me? What does that make folks like us, who are really, really small? So I was thinking micro farmer. I'm going to go with that. And so we can have some conversations from the micro platform. And I think that'll be a little bit more beneficial. It would, at least for me, I think. So we're going to roll with this as a micro docu-series about my micro bison farm. And I hope you'll comment and talk to me a little bit about your micro farming experiences too. All right, so I'm inside the barn now because it's literally freezing outside, and it is April 5th. So anyways, I wanted to take a minute. Well, I've got a few minutes to myself, and Jimmy's watching the boys, to kind of reintroduce myself in regards to my background and how I came to be here raising bison in Terre Alta, West Virginia. So basically, I grew up in New Hampshire. I'm not from the West Virginia area. Jimmy is actually from this area, born and raised, just about an hour west of where we have a farm now. But I grew up mostly in New Hampshire. I would say that's home for me. As an equestrian from the age of about 10, 11, I got my first pony and got addicted to that outdoor lifestyle with animals and the barn and the hay and the smells and the relationship with the animals. And that carried me through through high school and still dabbled in it, well into college, and actually went to school to become a nurse and joined the Navy at 18. They paid for school, sent me to nursing school, and then gave me a job right outside of school. And I found myself at 22 at my first duty station in Bethesda, Maryland. And I worked down there at the National Naval Medical Center, which is what it was called then, but is now known as Walter Reed Medical Center. And I worked with wounded warriors when I was down there at a very young age. It was an eye-opening experience. I learned a lot and got thrown right into the morality of war and wounds and, what you can and can't do with the body, and, helping people through recovery, both physically and mentally. It was a lot, and I struggled with it. I'm glad I did it, now, hindsight's 2020, but I had a really hard time doing that. And interestingly enough, though, I met Jimmy on that ward doing that work, and we were bedside together doing a lot of those things. And so we started off as really good friends and just kind of as a mutually supportive relationship where we just needed somebody to talk to and kind of like rehash what the heck we did during our shifts and stuff like that. And it blossomed from there and has become something absolutely wonderful. But from there, the two of us then traveled to the West Coast. So we were out in the Seattle area, Bremerton, Washington, actually. And I worked on labor and delivery when I was out there. So did a few years with that and then actually got out. But we got married when we were out there and always talked about coming back home and what we wanted to do when we got back home. And being on a farm was one of those things that I wanted to do. Even when I was out there in the Washington area, I was doing the horse thing, taking some lessons, and just it was a way for me to get out and clear my mind. I actually even did that when I was in Bethesda. I volunteered at a horse rescue there in Maryland to help clear my mind, in between shifts. And it really helped me to get back outside in the farm setting. Really helps ground me. And that's what we wanted our basically retirement goals to be, honestly. And so here we are today in West Virginia, raising bison since 2017 as one of our family goals. Because I wanted to be on a farm, and originally I wanted horses, and it's hard to make a lot of money with horses, so we came up with the idea of having something that we could eat and probably sell. And bison felt right to us after some traveling we did out to Jackson, Wyoming, and checking out the meat scene out there. And actually that's the first time I had ever seen the animal too. It's where the buffalo still roam out there in Yellowstone. And I was like, it's a really cool animal, and we found out, talking at the local meat shop and local butcher that you can actually raise them. Because, where was everybody getting all this buffalo meat, these bison burgers and bison steaks. And I was like, surely they're not going out to Yellowstone and shooting them. So somebody must be raising them, and it must be possible. And we really liked the meat. It had a great taste profile, and then the health profile as well of the meat really resonated with both Jimmy and I, just being nurses. Bison technically has less fat in it than chicken, more protein in it than salmon, and more omega-3 fatty acids than even grass-finished beef. So it really, was resounding with us in regards to what we wanted to offer to the local community. And so we put some bison in the pasture. And we wanted to be a little bit more hands-off anyways. I come from the holistic management perspective of farming and did a lot of training from that perspective. I'm actually a Savory accredited professional, went through their training to be able to learn more, from from my own perspective and how to run my own farm, but also from the consulting perspective. I wanted to be able to do that. Kind of pair that with my background actually of being an educator in general. I actually, when we were in Washington, I went back to school and got my master's in nursing education, thinking I was gonna, go full tilt in nursing. Have a little horse farm on the side and, be a nurse, during the day. And my, how that has turned. But I wouldn't change a thing. And to be honest with you, this is way better, hands down, than bedside nursing. So I'm glad for the nursing background I have and for the time I had doing that. But I was ready to make a change in life, and this came at the perfect time. And so here I am doing that, raising bison and teaching holistic management. And who would have thought? But it's really gaining some serious momentum, and we've been having a lot of fun with it. There's been a ton of ups and downs. My God. You don't know what you don't know until you don't know it type thing. And being hands-off with the bison has been a little tough for me because I am used to that horse perspective where you can just put a halter on an animal and take them inside, doctor them up, love them a little bit, give them some treats type thing. So that's been a tough transition for me. A little bit of a learning curve from that perspective. But we really wanted the animals to teach us some things, and they've definitely been doing that along the way of keeping our hands off and letting them kind of, do what they do best and what Mother Nature can do best. And sometimes Mother Nature's a bitch, though. So that can be tough, and as a nurse, coddler, and as a horsewoman, that's been tough. But at the end of the day, it's what is best for both the herd and the land that we, have been entrusted to keep and to shepherd. So that's a little bit more about me and our why and a little bit about our how. So do me a favor and leave me some comments down here and tell me a little bit more about yourself. I want to hear about your story, and we can share some of this. Talk about it, especially being a farm woman. Do share how old your kids are, how young your kids are, and how that plays into your everyday role as a farm mama. Because it gets interesting sometimes when you've got a 1-year-old and a 4-year-old running around, or hell, when I was pregnant, jumping over fences or out of trucks or moving hay around, It's an interesting perspective, a farm mama that's got young kiddos and has to transition through all that. So, but let's talk more about that too, very soon. I have a meeting and I'll catch back up with you guys. Wrap up. It feels so good to have the sun out, finally. Oh, amazing, huh, Jasper? It's amazing.